Well, hey, I am so excited that you are joining me for my very first episode of Dr. G Speaks. I'm your girl, Dr. Kristen Guillory. And listen, let's talk about what this podcast is all about. It is all about freedom, faith, fun, healing, and so much more. I'm excited to help you experience a life that you deserve in a life that you may not even realize is possible. I am a two-time author of Look, Stop Hiding, How to Find Your Voice and Never Dim Your Light Again. I'm also the author of Walking Through the Fog, Holding On to Hope When You Can't See the Sun. I was a professor for about 10 years in psychology and social work and counseling. I was also a mental health therapist for some years. I am currently a coach, a speaker coach, a life coach, a coach to help you start your coaching and consulting business. I am an international speaker. I am an aunt. I love to travel. I love to solo travel and so much more. And I am extremely passionate about helping you identify who you currently are today, extending grace to the person you are today, helping you identify who you want to be, the vision that the Lord has shown you about where you're going and who you want to be, and help you identify what's blocking you from reaching that life that you deserve, that life that you desire, that life that the Lord has shown you. I'm excited to share tools and share stories with you to help you get to that place. Now, have you ever absorbed someone's fear, doubt, or insecurity? Maybe you didn't even realize it at the time. You were making a decision to do something, go somewhere, try something out, meet someone, and someone's statement or reaction caused you to doubt, caused you to be scared. Now, listen, I'm not saying the warning signs that we need to hear, the wisdom behind some of that, but maybe it wasn't wisdom for you. It was their own stuff that you absorbed. And it maybe caused you not to move in the direction that you had planned, or it caused you to pause or delay. I wonder if you needed to reject that energy that you unintentionally absorbed. So listen, I've been there. I've been there, not too much. I've been there. And I began to absorb some energy that wasn't even mine. And I'm so glad that I rejected it, because I might not have started the solo international travel journey that I have over these years if I would have continued to absorb people's fear. It was August of 2018. My best friend and I decided to go on a trip to Colombia for our friend anniversary. It's our friend anniversary. Okay. And listen, Colombia was never on my list. And I was open because I trusted my best friend. Shout out, Sharice. I trusted my best friend. So we go to Colombia and we are having an amazing time. Earlier in the year, I made the decision that I was going to go on my very first long-term solo international trip, like 6 weeks, y'all, and it was going to be to Santorini, Greece. So I was ready to go, already looking up apartments, already looking up transportation, all the things. Well, day three in Colombia, I looked at my friend and I said, girl, this is where I'm going to return for my first long-term solo international trip. And she was like, what? You already know? Like after day three, I said I did. It was just something about the experience, the area that I wanted to return to Cartagena, Colombia. So I started making plans to return. I was going to leave in December and spend 6 weeks there solo. So I'm making plans and things are happening so easily, like lodging and flight and transportation, ground transportation, and more. About 2 weeks before, my mom said, you're not going to walk down a dark alley when you're there, are you? Or walk down an alley at night when you're there? I said, well, no, no, mom. And I thought, I don't do that here. But I said, no, mom, I'm not going to do that. And I could tell my mom was worried, rightfully so. I'm her daughter. She loves me. I could tell she was worried. About a week later, I go to lunch with my aunt, and she's asking a lot of questions about the trip. And I could tell that she was asking questions because she was worried and she just wanted to get as many details as possible. And the next day, I'm worried about you going. And I said, I know that. That's why I was answering you in a lot of detail, because I know you are, but I have to reject y'all's fear. I have to reject y'all's fear. Y'all, the day after that conversation with my mom about walking down the dark alley, I started to be fearful and scared to go on this trip. The entire time from August to November, nothing, excitement, ready to go, all the things. But after my mom said that, I absorbed her fear. Thankfully, I was only in that place for about a day or day and a half, but I had to reject their fear, not reject their love. I knew it was from a place of love, but I had to reject their fear. I had other people that I knew who I could tell they were fearful. And I said, I have to reject y'all's fear because I'm going to trust that the God that has kept me safe here is going to keep me safe over there. I had to reject their fear, and I'm so grateful that I did. And what's so interesting, y'all, at the end of that trip, my mom said, "Ooh, I think I want to go there now. I want to travel there." I was like, "What the heezy? What the heezy, Sheila?" I've had to reject other things over the years, and I'm so grateful that I knew that I needed to reject it. For example, the notion that Black women have to work 3 times as hard. Oh, I reject that. I reject that. No, thank you. I don't want that. Reject the notion that, uh-oh, you're getting older, so things are going to be like this, whatever this is. I reject that. I had a bad fall a couple of months ago. Thankfully, I was okay. And I informed clients and friends about it and a lot of encouragement and prayers and more. And I got a message that said, "I'm so sorry. I'm praying for you. And be careful, as we're getting older, we have to do this and this." And I messaged her back and said, "Thank you so much for your prayers." And lovingly, I reject the notion that because we're getting older, we're going to be more susceptible to harm. Now, listen, I'm not naive to what science says and data says, but I also know who I serve. And if I begin to believe that as I get older, my bones are going to be like this, or I'm not going to be as mobile, then I'm going to manifest that. I'm very mindful of thoughts. I'm very mindful of what I allow in there. People say work is hard, life is hard, relationships are hard, and more. Well, here's the thing. If you say that all the time and you believe that all the time, what's going to happen? Every single thing is going to be hard. So I reject the notion that life is hard all the time. Yes, there are some hard parts of life. I reject that relationships are hard. Yes, are there things you've got to work through? Yes. I reject that entrepreneurship is hard. I reject that. Not to say that there aren't hard moments, but if you look through the lens of hard all the time, every single thing will be difficult. I reject that. I have to reject these things in order to make sure I am leaving room open for the things that are supposed to be connected to me, are supposed to be in alignment with me. I have to reject other people's opinions. I have to reject people's own self-doubt. I'll say this. I wish that I would have rejected people's opinions and thoughts about my journey after I left my professor position in 2014. I wish I did. While I had support, I did not have as much support. There were a lot of people that questioned my decision, that weren't sure about it, that doubted it. And I absorbed their doubt. I absorbed their questioning. I absorbed, real talk. Some people thought I was crazy. I absorbed that. And because I absorbed it, I was paralyzed by fear pretty much the entire year of 2015. I was paralyzed by fear because I was so worried about what I thought people were thinking. But I thought they were thinking because some of the conversations I had had previously, I could tell there was fear and doubt and what are you doing in this? And I absorbed that because I was in such a vulnerable place of leaving my job that I'd never, ever, ever wanted to do. I never had a dream to be an entrepreneur yet. That's the journey the Lord would have me go on. And I absorbed people's fear and I wish that I would have rejected that. Oh, but today, I will reject something in a second. I will reject it because I don't need to absorb that because that will get in the way of what I am supposed to be doing. So, what about you? What is something that you need to reject? Maybe it's you need to reject some things that you say to yourself. Maybe you are not kind to yourself, compassionate to yourself, empathetic to yourself, gentle with yourself. Maybe you need to reject some things that you say to you and look at yourself in the mirror and say, "Self, we're not saying that anymore." We reject those thoughts. We reject that and we welcome in the good, the positive, the pruning, the things that are in alignment with my destiny. So, question for you. What is something that you need to reject? Write that down. I need to reject other people's fear. I need to reject other people's opinions. And I don't mean wisdom, y'all. I don't mean not being open to wisdom and discernment, but there are some things you need to reject. What do you need to reject? And what do you need to replace it with? Faith, security, confidence? What is it? Here are a few ways to actually say, I reject that. First is lovingly and respectfully, I reject that. Respectfully, I reject that. I reject that. Or you don't even have to say it at all. You can say it internally. And when you get away from the space, you can say it out loud. And if it's you, you can say it to yourself. You can look in the mirror and you can say, we're rejecting that. We're rejecting a scarcity mentality. We're rejecting that somebody said because I was raised in that community or raised in that family or got that degree, then that's my outcome. I reject that. I reject when people say I'll never make more money than fill in the blank. I reject that. I reject when people say, are you still single? Because to me, saying still single, there's a negative connotation. I reject that. Y'all, when I go to restaurants and I ask for a table for one and the person says, oh, only one, I said, no, I reject that. A table for one. Don't put only on that. Okay. Okay. Listen, I reject things all the time because just because somebody says it doesn't mean I have to accept it. Just because somebody says it in my presence doesn't mean I have to accept it. And it doesn't mean I'm saying I reject that all the time. It just made me, I reject what they just said. That doesn't have anything to do with me. Your fear has nothing to do with me. Your doubt has nothing to do with me. I reject that. So what do you need to reject? I'd like you to practice that. I'd like you to practice that. Oh, you have to be available all the time for everyone. Oh, you don't have time to rest. I reject that. I reject that. People need you all the time. I reject that. I am not Jesus. I am not Jesus. You got to use your pain to help other people. I reject that. Let me heal first. Let me heal first and then see if this pain is something that I'm going to use to help other people. But let me heal first. I reject that. What do you need to reject in order to walk in the fullness and freedom of who you have been created to be? Your affirmation for the week is, I am open to and only available to things, opportunities, and people that are in direct alignment with my purpose and destiny. And anything else, I reject. Say, y'all ready to keep walking in freedom and reject the things that don't belong to us and accept the things that do? Let's get it. Thank you so much for hanging out on episode 1 of Dr. G Speaks.